Hey guys, welcome back to another week of What's for Dinners. This first meal we are making my version of Cowboy Casserole. So I'm starting out by peeling probably about 5 or 6 potatoes, and I'm just going to peel and wash those and then dice those up into bite-sized pieces. Now I made enough so we could have leftovers for lunch for the next day, so if you are not aiming to do that, don't peel these many potatoes. You actually don't need that many. So yeah, I guess I have 5 here, and 3 of them are pretty good size. So now that I have all of the potatoes peeled, I'm just going to season them, put a little bit of olive oil in there. Going to season with salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder, and I am stirring after each seasoning just to make sure that everything gets coated. So I use this pot here, and you'll see here in just a little bit that the potatoes stuck to the bottom of the pan. So I would not recommend using a big pan like this. If you had like a really good nonstick pan, definitely use that. I just didn't have a skillet that was big enough to put everything in there that I needed to. So you'll see in a little bit that I actually switched over to my air fryer, and that worked out beautifully. Next, we are going to cut up our smoked sausage. So you can use any sort of smoked sausage. You can use kielbasa, Polish sausage, smoked sausage. We like using the better cheddars as well, but we just got this time instead. So I'm just kind of sectioning it off and then cutting the piece of sausage in half so we have bite-sized pieces. Something to note as well, in the original recipe that I looked at for inspiration for this Cowboy Casserole, it actually used hamburger, but I thought that the smoked sausage would give it better flavor. If you watch my previous What's for Dinners, you've seen that we really like doing fried potatoes in this smoked sausage, but I think like breakfast sausage would be really good as well, so we might try that next time. So now you're just going to want to rinse off your black beans. You can really use any beans in this. I think the recipe, the original recipe uses kidney beans, but I figured black beans would be really good. So I'm just rinsing those off, and then I'm going to grab my can of Rotel and rinse that as well, or not rinse it, but drain it, just to make sure that it's not too spicy. So here you see the pan, all the potatoes that have stuck to the bottom. I was so aggravated. And then I tried to put the smoked sausage in there just to kind of heat it through, kind of brown it up, and it was not working either. So you'll see what I do here in just a few minutes, but I decided to make cornbread with this recipe. We have not had cornbread in a long time, and honestly, it's one of the cheapest sides that you can get, but I never remember it. So yeah, we had cornbread with this, and it was really, really good. So now you can see that I am shaking the potatoes in the air fryer. So I cooked these at 400 for right at 10 minutes, and then shook them and just made sure they were fork tender. They were almost fork tender, not quite done yet. So I went ahead and added the sausage to the potatoes just to make sure that everything was heated through. And I put it back in there for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to work on my cornbread. I love doing the corn muffins instead of like the actual cornbread that I think the back of the box actually says, or my mom used to make it that way as well, but I actually like doing the corn muffins. It's easier for the kids and just, you know, better portion control. So now that the potatoes are fully cooked, I'm going to add them to this other pan that I have. This is usually what I use to make like spaghetti and just any sort of pasta, but I needed a really big pan. So I got this ragu sauce. It's called the double cheddar sauce, and let me tell you, this sauce is amazing. This is probably the way that we'll make our sausage and potatoes every single time. And then I just added those beans and rotel to this. This recipe was amazing. You guys have to try it. And you know, if you have a little bit of extra time, I think a cheese sauce would be really good as well, just to make your own, but I wanted something for convenience, so went ahead and just used the jar, and it was just as good. And then just seasoning one last time with a little bit of salt and pepper. So let me just tell you that the rotel was really good in it, but it did make it a little bit spicy, so we might actually leave that out next time and just see. But this is everything after it's all done. Just served it with some corn muffins and some pineapples. So this day, I mean, there's not really a recipe to go with spaghetti, but I did want to give you another idea. So here's just some spaghetti with broccoli and garlic bread. And then same with this next dinner. We just had some burgers with some air fryer fries and some corn, and then we did have some pears on the side as well. I just used the burger patties, the frozen ones that they have at Walmart, and this was a super easy dinner. So this next recipe is actually taco pizza. So here I am. I have already browned up the hamburger, added some black beans for some extra protein and just, you know, to make it stretch a little bit further. And then we did want some green peppers in ours this time as well. So added the taco seasoning mix, gonna let that simmer until till the flavors all melt together. So here I have my pizza pan, and I have this Great Value pizza crust. I'm just going to roll it out the best that I can. This was really challenging for me. The amount of time that I cut out of this is amazing. It took me probably a good 10 minutes to get it to the desired thickness and shape that I wanted it to be, probably because I have a really small rolling pin and a little helper there, but we won't talk about that. So yeah, I'm just rolling this out the best that I can. I'm going to throw it in the oven for half the time that the back of the package calls for, just to make sure that we don't have a really doughy pizza. And then I'm going to move on to my quote-unquote sauce. It's just refried bean mixture. So I've got a can of refried beans here. I'm going to add about a cup of sour cream and then a cup of salsa, just to make sure that I have a really flavorful sauce to go on the bottom of the pizza. We actually ended up freezing half of this, and I'm going to be using it for next week's meal plan. So there's a little tip for you. If you have leftovers, you can pretty well freeze anything. If you're unsure about it, just Google it. Now I'm just going to lay down the sauce on the bottom of the pizza. Like I said, I did cook the pizza about halfway, and then using about half of the refried bean mixture, just spreading it all around the best that I can. Now I'm going to add some cheese to the top, just a little bit, not too much. And then we will add our taco meat mixture and then some black olives, put it back in the oven for the rest of the time, and it will be good to put the rest of the toppings on. So here is what it looks like when it was all said and done. I just topped it with some lettuce and some salsa, and this was definitely a hit in our house. This last dinner idea is chili. So I'm just starting out with my hamburger, just browning that up, adding some minced onion and some garlic, minced garlic from the fridge. I'm not someone that uses fresh garlic all the time. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually purchased a head of garlic. I just like to use the stuff in the jar already. And then I have some sriracha that I actually bought to put on eggs, but it is way too spicy for my eggs. So I've just kind of been incorporating it into some other ideas. So I decided to add some to this meat mixture. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut up a green pepper and throw that in there as well. So now that the hamburger is done browning, I'm just going to drain it really quickly. A subscriber actually taught me this trick. You just put foil in the bottom of the bowl, and then all the grease from the hamburger will drain onto that, and when it solidifies, you can just toss it and throw it away. Now I'm just going to add some of the burger back into the electric skillet. I did want to mention that I got this electric skillet on a Black Friday deal probably 2 years ago, and it is the best $15 I have ever spent. If you do not have an electric skillet, you should definitely invest in one. I believe I have one linked in my description box down below. It's not the exact one, but it is very similar. So now I'm just going to season the hamburger with the chili seasoning mix. I actually got this at a discount grocery store, so I wanted to use it up. So I'm just following the instructions on the back of the package and seasoning it that way. Let me know down below, when you guys are making your chili, do you use the packet to season your hamburger, or do you throw the packet in your crock pot? I used to use the seasoning just like when everything was all said and done, but the past couple years I've been doing it this way, and I feel like my chili has so much better flavor. So now I'm just adding the hamburger to the crock pot, getting everything that I possibly can as far as flavor goes in there from the electric skillet to the crock pot, and then we will work on adding everything else in. So I feel like every time I make chili, it comes out different. So I'm just going to tell you what I put in this pot of chili. Like I said before, I don't have an actual recipe. I just do whatever I feel like. So Walmart has these chili ready tomatoes that I like getting. So I put those in there, adding some chili beans, and then I've also got some black beans and kidney beans, I believe, that I will rinse and drain, and then add those in there. And then I am adding 1 can of tomato sauce. You saw me add some green peppers in there. I just think it gives it really good flavor. And I'm also adding probably like half a cup of beef broth. I think that gives it really good flavor as well. And you can see here that the consistency was a little bit thick, so that's why I did that. And I think it does give it really good flavor. So if your chili is lacking flavor, you should definitely try the beef broth tip. I actually forgot to get a picture of my plate whenever it was all said and done, but so that was going to be it for today's video. I just wanted to take a second to thank you guys for all of your support. I've been working really hard to get my channel up and going, and I feel like I finally have a pretty good momentum. So just wanted to give you guys a little shout out and thank you for that. So I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.